So if you look at our company and some of the restructures that we've made, we have a business area that is solely focused on creating and scaling businesses to accelerate the strategic and sustainable growth for Ericsson. This is where Ericsson ONE sits, and it is housed there, but it is of course meant for the entire company. So as I said previously, we're targeting the 100,000 people that we have in the company. It doesn't matter where an individual idea comes from. As long as it's the right idea to invest in, we will invest, and we will try to make that a growth business for the company. So this business area not only houses Ericsson ONE, but we also do targeted M&As. We do internal moves of opportunities and product areas that needs focused growth. And we also do strategic business development together with our strategy and our technology partners throughout the company. So how we measure success is a good question. I mean, first of all, I think you have to figure out on the landscape of investing in new ideas, where does Ericsson ONE sort of fit and focus? And I mean, if you look at venture investing, strategic partnering, M&A, we're probably cutting across some of these dimensions, which means that the lens you have to have is to think about returns in probably 4 to 7 or upwards of even 10 years, with a benchmark in the industry being somewhere around 20 to 30% internal rate of return. So we are of course looking at similars, right? So we're looking at, after a 5-year initial period of mostly investing, we will look at real harvesting and from that first tranche. But we are also continuously feeding our pipeline, which means that after the first initial sort of 5 years that we are coming up against in a year or so, we will start to see continuous harvesting from the pipeline. But that sort of scene setting in terms of the overall landscape. What we measure now and immediately and all the time is 3 main categories of value creation. Number one is we do valuations of our pipeline, and we do this solely on the latter part of the pipeline, because there we have the highest likelihood and that these will succeed and move on to the next investment phases and really be real products out in the market. So from those 4 that we have now, and we can expose you to that pipeline, we want to see that valuation of that portfolio, of course, is much larger than the investment that we have made. So that's number 1. Number 2, what we measure is customer intimacy. So our pipeline, of course, produces a ton of thought leadership and new opportunities for all the customers that Ericsson works with, whether you are an operator, whether you are an enterprise or a distributor to an enterprise, or you're now with the acquisition of Vonage, you are an app developer and one of the 1 million app developers that we have there. So there we're looking at, and what we're measuring is the number of early adopters that we're signing up to our early adopter program and early adopter agreements, which are very different and much more innovation prone than what any sort of standard contract would be. And particularly of interest is which of these customers decide to become programmatic customers with us and participate in more than one project and more than one phase. This gives them the ability to test and learn and be first to deploy in the market. But it also, of course, gives us an immense benefit of being very fast in validating the value propositions and the opportunities. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is what we do is, given we are a service for entrepreneurs within the company, we want their experience to be as good as possible. And it means that we help them to navigate the benefits of being part of a large organization with all established customers in 180 countries, etc., but also how to navigate the natural and innate slowness that exists in innovating and creating new business within a large corp. So we measure Net Promoter Score towards these stakeholder groups to understand how are they perceiving our service, and would they recommend someone else to come and pitch their idea to Ericsson ONE and take this journey together with us. We have actually, since we started, we've held an NPS score above 30. The latest score we actually have is at 51, which is, for those who know, Net Promoter Score, that is a great score. Well, since we started in 2018, we rather immediately deployed a global and transparent ideation platform. It's called IdeaDrop. And we have more than 11,000 people actively engaged on this platform today. And they are channeling on an annual basis somewhere between 500 but up towards 1,000 ideas into our pipeline. So since inception, we've collected more than 3,000 ideas. And out of those 3,000, we have made more than 200 investments in the different stages that we invest in, and that has led to a rather stable portfolio, but ever changing at roughly 30 projects in flight at any given moment. So right now we have 17 projects in what we call ideation, which is a rapid prototyping mode. It is 6 to 12 week engagements, should cost somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. We have 8 projects in our incubation MVP, or minimum viable product stage, which is where we invest in 6 to 8 months worth of a project. It's a dedicated project, 100%, and it will be somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000. And then we invest in incubation industrialization, which is our last stage. There we have 4 projects in flight, and depending on the nature of these, they will be between $1 million and $6 million, and they will take somewhere between 18 to 24 months to execute. As I mentioned before, in terms of what we measure, then the current measurement or the current valuation of that industrialization portfolio of 4 projects is actually right around $2 billion in 2025 timeframe. What we also do is that we are trying to realistically think about how quickly can you actually drive that type of value creation in the market. So we have a lower span as well, where we say that these industrialization projects, if it takes them double the amount of time to execute on their growth, the valuation of that portfolio is still $400 million roughly. And I mentioned 2 other aspects that we measure. Net Promoter Score we have at 51, and then we also have our early adopter customer intimacy with early adopter agreements, and there we have executed 35 plus early adopter agreements, and we have more than 13 programmatic customers who are recurringly coming back and participating in the broader portfolio. Yeah, so anytime we invest, we look at 3 main dimensions. We look at desirability, so is the problem real? Do people actually care about it? And would a customer pay for it, or an end user pay for it? Number 2, feasibility. Do we have the technology and the know-how and the team to be able to execute on this plan and really make this idea a reality? And finally, viability. Is there a sound business model? Will it sustain over time? Do we have the means of go-to-market? Is there a reason for why Ericsson here? And these 3 dimensions we couple with the ever-changing technology and industry landscape. And what's sort of coming out then is some areas that are very relevant for us to go problem solve for, where we can, of course, leverage Ericsson's strength, whether that is on the go-to-market with operator customers and now enterprises and small and medium businesses, as well as developers through the acquisitions we made, and the technology assets that we have on top of 55,000 patents in our IPR portfolio. But what's coming out is industries that require mobility, connectivity, of course, but mobility, AI and machine learning, cybersecurity, and the likes are the typical areas that come up. And what what we find is that, for instance, smart manufacturing is a big area that we're targeting. Connected logistics is another. Autonomous vehicles, and not only connected cars or similar, but autonomous in terms of drones and automotives and trucks. But we also look a bit more explorative at what's happening in the small and medium business landscape, what's happening in, for instance, next generation gaming or network data monetization. So these are the typical fields that we try to target our pipeline and our developments within, or our projects within. But we are also open to more explorations, and roughly 25% of our portfolio is explorations outside of what I just mentioned, whilst 75% of that portfolio fits within this landscape. And that's where we drive constant sort of challenges to drive ideation towards our idea platform, to stimulate new ideas and to share the types of problem statements that we would like ideation to happen against. So very focused and targeted efforts on this, yet being open to more explorations.